Should Christians worship ancestors?
What's that, Grandma?
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Should Christians practice ancestral? What is an ancestor?
That's a good question, because the thing is, like, I think just to get the term right, a lot of us think about ancestors like, it's someone wearing an old cloth and like, dancing, and it's maybe sometimes a bit weird, but actually just the easy term to understand ancestors, it's where you come from. It's like your lineage, right? So you have Africa, right? Europe. Okay, so that's kind of like, where your ancestors are from. And someone actually explained it to me like this. It's actually a cool way. It's like taking your two hands. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So obviously your two hands. So how it works is that this is your mom, your thumb, and this is your dad, the other thumb. And what it actually is that your mom and your dad each had two parents, right? Right. And the thing is, they made babies, and then there was your mom and dad, and then they made you, right? And so that's the picture of you as a person are always a mixture of some or other lineage that kind of came down. And understanding ancestors, it's everyone else in this picture. It's the phalanges of life. No, not that. That's a different show. But anyway, it's like these phalanges, these different people in your life that created kind of like who you are. Sure. So, I mean, that's why me and you look different, because I have a different lineage than you have. And the lineage, the people I come from, they are my ancestors. So that's my grandparents, and and so on and so forth.
So from that, you can kind of take the thing of Ubuntu. So
Ubuntu. I've heard that thing before. Yeah. It's like I are because something.
Yeah. It's I are. No, what? No, man. I am because you are.
Oh, yeah. Like they say in the free set, I is because we are.
Yeah, man. I spent too much time here. It's bad. We need English teachers. Send them soon. But yeah, it's simply that I am because you are. So my community and my culture, not my culture, but my community has something to say about who I am, and I have something to say about my community. So we're all in the circle of contributing to one another. It's kind of cool. Like my ancestors bring something to who I am. My lineage says something about me, and I will say something about who comes from me as well. Like you're just remembering your family tree, essentially. Ancestry, yeah.
Ubuntu. I am Ubuntu. Because we are.
I am because
we are. That's really cool. But but I think our people could maybe translate it, and this is how something people might see it, is saying that, well, I am a Christian because my parents are Christian, and now because of that lineage, I am now a Christian as well.
I don't think it works that way, man. I think Christianity is a personal choice. It's not necessarily my grandpa is a Christian, my dad is a Christian, then I'm a Christian. It's not like we're handing down the family jacket or like the family crest. It's a lot different to that. You are part of a different family, I think, in that sense.
Yeah, it's like taking the classic John 3:16, right? For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, so that whoever is born of this lineage will receive eternal life. No, it doesn't say that, right? It says whoever believes.
Whoever believes, yeah.
So obviously believing in Jesus, becoming a Christian, and that's important because we're asking the question, should Christians practice ancestral worship? And understanding that is that when you become a Christian, something else changes. The Bible even explains that, like, sort of our lineage changes, our DNA, in a sense, changes because we become a new creation, a new a person. Yeah. But I mean, just thinking about when I thought about ancestors, I thought about my grandparents and stuff. Like, can you imagine like calling up your grandparents like today? Just like we get a medium here on the show. We're not going to do it. Just relax.
Couldn't afford it.
We don't know where to. I typed medium and then they just gave me shirt sizes. So I don't know what that means. But we wanted to know, like, what would it look like if we actually, like, call up our grandparents?
Oh man, it would be such a mess. So if I called up my grandparents, let's say I called up my grandparents on my mother's side, and I didn't call up my grandparents on my father's side, it would be a mess, man.
You would not hear the end of it.
I would never hear the end of it. My grandma would be like, why did you not call me? There'd be floating chairs everywhere. I'd lose my car keys. Like, things would just, my house would just be constantly floating. And like,
we're talking about ghosts now, right?
Yeah.
If you want to know more about ghosts, there is an episode of Ghosts that we talked about, so check that out. We're not going to get into that too much. But like, it's the same. Like, if you knew my grandmother, I'm just going to put this out here. If you knew my grandmother, this show would be like 40 minutes long because she could tell a story. And why I'm saying she could tell a story is because she'd usually tell you the same story 5 times when you go visit her over and over. And then she'll just, I don't know, be like, oh, by the way, have I told you that this is? I'm like, yeah, it's the 4th time, Grandma. So, I mean, this show would be very long. So let's not call up any grandparents.
No. Bless their heart.
Bless their heart. And we love them. I absolutely love my grandparents.
Oh,
They're
man.
amazing.
I have to say it now just because of the paints and the floating chairs. But yeah. But
Anyway. But yeah, I think the point is actually to get to this is that when we ask the question, should Christians practice ancestral worship? What does it actually mean? Why do people actually do ancestral worship? What is the point of ancestral worship?
So I believe I did some research here or there, and the point of ancestral worship is to speak to the passed away, the dead, and to interfere or to intervene between you and God. So it'd be us, them, God. So they would, let's say I give...
Because they're dead, so they're close.
They're closer because they're dead. Even though we bury them. Science. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that we would talk to them to talk on our behalf to the deity, to God, essentially. And if we're asking the question, should Christians practice this? I don't know, man.
I don't know, because when it comes to Christianity, there's a different way to communicate. And we're going to actually read 2 pieces of scripture that's like a story, and the other one about that Jesus is actually explaining. And that's going to help us to find out what it actually means when we say ancestral worship and actually communicating with God. Like, where's the difference?
And it's a really cool story. So it's in Samuel, 1 Samuel verse 28, and it's Saul. Saul reaches out to Samuel, and he's like, and Samuel answers him. He's like, man, why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?
Yeah, because here's the thing that's happening in this moment, right? Saul, he's not hearing God's voice, and the Philistines are like ready to like attack them, and he wants to like figure out where's God? Like, why isn't God talking to me? So he does anything, and so the next moment he's like, well, Samuel used to talk to God, so let me go and ask Samuel. And but he's dead though.
Yeah, so he's like, I gotta call up a medium. And he calls up this medium, and he's like, Samuel, man, I'm in serious trouble. Like, dude, it is bad. Like, I'm in super serious trouble. The Philistines are fighting. God. I need to hear God. The Philistines are fighting against me. God has turned away from me. He doesn't answer me anymore, either through the prophets or in dreams. So I've called you. Like, I've called you to figure it out.
And so Samuel actually comes to like answer him. He answers Saul, right? And he says to Saul, since the Lord has turned away from you, he has become your enemy. And he says, why are you asking me? Samuel's telling Saul, like, dude, why are you coming to me? Like, why are you telling me, why is God not talking to me? And the reason is obviously because Saul wasn't listening, and he didn't listen to God, and God was actually getting ready to kind of just destroy Saul in a sense. But he's running. Saul is like desperate, running to try and hear God's voice. And that's where the problem is. I think when we look at ancestral worship, it's actually in a desperation, to kind of hear God's voice. And it's just pretty gangster what Samuel says to him. He says to him a bunch of things, it's because you didn't listen, all those things. And he says, the Lord will also hand Israel over to the Philistines along with you. And then he says this, tomorrow you and your sons will be with me.
Damn.
That is not a fun thing to hear. So next time, if you want to have ancestral worship or you want to call up your ancestors to chat, just make sure that they're not like, hey, and just by the way, I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you next week Saturday for brunch.
Yeah, we'll see you for brunch here where I am.
You're like, what?
But I mean, it's quite gangster what he says. Why? Because, and I think this is good to say to me and to think about, is that Samuel was not the way to God. You see, Samuel was not the way to get to God. I mean, even Samuel himself says, why are you wasting your time with me? Why would you come to me? Go to God yourself. And so Samuel was not the way to God, but it was this picture of holiness, right? Is that Saul had to listen to God and live holy in that sense, or live in the holiness of God, and it would have been fine. And that's what Jesus comes to do, right? He gives us the holiness to actually be with God. The way
to be with God. And Jesus says it in 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 5 to 6. It says, for there is one God and one mediator between God and mankind. That's us. The man Jesus Christ, who gave himself as a ransom for all people. So we don't have to call anyone else. It says it right there. There's one God, one mediator, which means that's just Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's him. And I mean, if you even think about it, if we look at ancestral worship, the idea is that it's us and then our ancestors and then God. So we go through our ancestors to get to God, right? But now he's saying something different. He's saying there's one God, so there's one understanding of God, and then there's only one mediator between God, and that is where we get Jesus. So Jesus is actually the mediator. He is the way. He is the way to God. And so if we put ancestral worship, in that space, what we're actually doing is making it more difficult for us to actually connect with God and actually go and talk to God and be with him.
Yeah, man. And I think we shouldn't, you're not taking away the fact that it's bad for you to honor
Not at all.
honor your ancestors. That's still a good thing. Like, still remember them. Still remember the good times, the bad times, the fun times. But don't call them up again, man. I feel like that is where we miss it, when we call them to intervene for us, and we miss the one mediator, Jesus Christ, in this whole process.
Yeah, and I mean, but even if you think about it this way, isn't then Jesus our ancestor?
What you talking about?
Because I mean, he's the mediator. no, but not really. Because obviously Jesus is God, number one, and number two, he's not dead, he's alive. Believe it, people. Come on, God's not dead, he's truly alive, he's living on the inside. There we go. But I mean, God is alive, he is alive, and Jesus is alive today. And because of that, we now have full access to God, not through some other ancestor, not through some other spirit or some other way. It is through Jesus that we have full access to God. And I think that's the win today, is to actually say maybe we should, if it comes to ancestral worship or any other things we actually worship, you see, because it can be so easily that we can worship different things. Different religions say you need to pray to a certain saint or a certain thing or a certain way, and light a candle, do a whatever to speak to God. But that is also not the way. Jesus says that I am the way. And so let's not overcomplicate and make this thing difficult. Rather get to the core of it, which is to say that Jesus is the way.
Is the way. The one way.
Yeah. I always had a pickup line at school to say there's only one way, and that's the put away. But if you want to know about dating and Christian stuff, there's also another Dating and Christians episode. What? Dating online for Christians. Christian online for dating? Yeah, that one.
Yes,
Should Christians use online dating? That's the one. So check that out. But I think the best is to say, make sure that you connect with Jesus and through Jesus to God, because that is the best way to connect with. We're going to have a little bit of fun.
Oh, yes.
And it's going to be spicy.
3, 2, 1.
So welcome to our fun segment, the segment that has nothing to do with anything. And here's what we're going to do. We were supposed to have burger roulette, but we couldn't find a little spinny table. So it's going to be burger raffle. Or braffle. Yeah.
Burger braffle.
But we have a little bowl with a bunch of numbers.
of doom.
A bowl of death, I feel.
Yes.
And there are 8 burgers on the table. And we have a special sauce that are in these burgers. Aiden, tell us what burger has what type of thing.
This is Muchachos Chicken Fiesta Dynamite sauce. And I had a little drop of this on my tongue, and it's hot, people.
It's bad.
It's dynamite. So what we did is, myself and Jeanette, we can't really remember, but we have 8 burgers.
I want to remember.
2 of them have no sauce, so they're average.
Only 2?
Yeah. Okay.
That's why it's so empty.
Two of them have no sauce, so they're just regular slider burgers. 2 of them have a little bit of sauce, just enough to kind of clear the sinuses, right? And then 4 of them are doused in sauce. Okay.
Yes.
So they have a lot of sauce.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is we're going to send the bowl around now, and they're going to take some numbers, and then they're going to get their burger. And then once they got their burger, how it's going to work is I'm going to count to 3. We're going to open it up, and you have to eat your entire burger, and smash it.
Yeah.
And so and the first person. Just by the first person to drink anything has to buy lunch for the whole group next time.
Okay.
So we're ready.
No. As in, no one's to sweat already.
Are we ready?
Good.
No.
Are we ready?
Are you going to give us a countdown?
I'm going to give a countdown. 1, 2, 3, and then you open it up.
Okay.
And you go for it. You have to smash it. You ready?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, dynamite.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, nice. Oh, no. Oh, God.
Wait.
Not that bad.
So far, so good?
I don't taste anything.
It's burning specifically my left ear.
I can see. I think I got a normal one as well.
Frank just has hot sauce.
Oh, great, man.
Well done, Tamara. Cheers.
I feel my face turning red.
Cheers. I didn't get a chili one.
Oh man, mine's coming through now.
I did not get one that's spicy.
I can feel every hair.
I feel kind of left out of the group.
Wow,
Dude.
my baby's gonna hate me.
Zach, are you okay, man?
No, I'm not. Mother.
Keep going.
I believe in you, Zach.
Yo.
Oopsie.
You have to finish it. Go, you have to finish it.
Man, what's this all about?
Franco's saying his ears are burning. So don't breathe, it makes it worse.
Okay, I'll just have a little bit on my burger because seeing I didn't get. See what all the fuss is about.
Oh, I just hit a hot pocket.
I have a little.
This is burning.
It is hot tomorrow.
That's a nice boulder right there.
I'm gonna be honest. I just had a little bit because I didn't get the burger with the spicy and I'm uncomfortable.
Literally. Guys, this is not nice.
So how are you guys feeling?
I had a sip of my burger and then my throat was literally burning.
Close down. How are you feeling, Franco?
I'm like sweating on my nose.
There's sauce
on
on your
your
face, bro.
Now I'm worried it's really hot.
On your nose.
Zach's
I'm
sweating right now.
You're the
Jy
guy.
is 'n hele te Robin.
His eyebrows are sweating.
Dit brand.
It's not his forehead, just his eyebrows are sweating.
It's so hard not to drink something right now.
Right?
My mouth is
It's
on
right
fire.
here. We have milk as well. If they need milk, there is milk in the house.
Just doing a bunch of.
Who's gonna fold first? Drink something, someone. Isaac is going through a lot.
Isaac's theory.
I'm sweating.
Profusely.
Yo, man.
The nice thing is you don't have to wear a jacket the rest of the day because it won't be
I feel
cold.
like I look like a tomato.
Yo.
No, you still.
No, you still have good
Oh,
complexion.
nice. Thanks.
Got a bit of red around your
It's getting worse.
It does. It just builds. It just
It's
builds.
getting worse.
It just builds till it's
gets
done.
worse.
My ears.
I literally had a little bit and I'm sweating. Like I'm not even joking.
Okay, is everyone okay?
One.
No. I feel like I was shouting. I can't
Isaac,
hear.
just drink something, man. I know you want to.
Isaac, I know you're super thirsty, man.
Oh, don't burp. Oh my god.
Did you burp?
No, I did. It burns both ways now.
Okay, now the next step, if you guys want to give up, everyone has to take a sip. No. So remember to like, share, and subscribe, and thank you, muchachos.
Thank you, muchachos.
Thank you. You have a headache.
Yo, like, I have a headache right now.
My eyes are watering.
So. Yeah.